friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff, and I am so excited about this crafting video. Today we are making snow globe tumblers. How cute are these? Ah, I love them so much. So, I don't know, I feel like lately I have been doing a lot of technical tutorials and ebooks and things where I am just sitting at my computer all day. But when I went to make this candy cane snow globe tumbler the other day, it sort of reignited my love for crafting. And I realized I should be crafting all the time, but I don't. I sit at my computer a lot. So anyway, I was so excited to make this that I wanted to share this video with you. Today we're going to be making this cute snowflake tumbler with this glitter. Oh my God, I love it. This is such a fun craft. It's not as hard as it looks. Let's get started. To start, we need a glass can. So this one is specifically designed for this specific craft. It's double walled, meaning our glitter solution will go between the two walls in the glass. We'll get it in there using a hole in the bottom. This is pre-drilled, so you don't have to do any drilling. If you've made snow globe Starbucks cups that are plastic, a lot of times you have to drill that hole yourself. But there's none of that here. This one comes with it. It makes it a lot easier. We will then seal this hole with resin. For the sublimation portion of this, you're going to need a few things. To start, we're going to clean our tumbler with alcohol and a wipe. This gets all the oils and fingerprints off of this, allowing for the best sublimated image. You're also going to need your image. So this is just a bunch of snowflakes. I've turned this into a Tumblr image that you can download in the description below if you'd like, but you can put whatever image you'd like on here. You just want to make sure that it's sized correctly for your tumbler. So I've made sure this fits around my tumbler, just like this. You just want to make sure your image will fit. You'll also need a piece of butcher paper to protect your press, as well as heat-resistant tape to tape your image to your tumbler. You're going to, of course, need a heat press. I've got the PYD Life tumbler press. I reviewed it a few months ago. I love this thing. It works so well, and I'll go ahead and link to that review. And then you're also going to need some heat-resistant gloves. For the glitter portion of the project, there's some tools here that you may not have used before, but they're not that expensive. To start, we're going to be making our solution out of glycerin and water. So you're going to need some vegetable glycerin as well as some water. I like mixing it in a small cup like this with a little popsicle stick. Of course, you need glitter if we're making glitter tumblers. So I've got two colors here from the glitter guy. We've got a chunky white glitter called Olaf and sort of a snowflake shaped glitter called Let It Snow. The glitter guy has tons and tons and tons of colors of glitter, and I'm really happy with how his glitter looks inside these tumblers. I tried a few different ways to get my solution inside my tumbler, and I settled on this syringe as the best method. So this is a 35 ml syringe. I'll see if I can link to these in the description, but it was the perfect size here to get the solution out of my cup and into my tumbler. I also find a paintbrush really handy for getting all of the glitter into that little hole. This seems to be the best method I have found. And finally, we're going to seal that hole with resin. So these two things came in a resin kit that I got on Amazon. The first is the resin itself. It's in a black bottle because it's UV cured and there's UV in the sun. So if it didn't have the black bottle, it would just cure on its own. So make sure you store this out of the sunlight. As well as a little UV light. This plugs in via USB and cures the resin quickly. Let's start with the sublimation portion of this project. You do not want to sublimate this after you have all of the glitter solution in there. I'm not a scientist, but I do know that when liquid gets heated, it expands, and if something expands inside a glass container, it's going to break. So you want to do the sublimation portion of this first. Let's start by cleaning our tumbler. So like I said, I really like alcohol for this. So I use a little cotton swab. You can also use like a microfiber cloth. And I put a little alcohol on here, and then I can fully clean the tumbler. You want to take the lid and the straw off. You don't want to press with these in there, so you can just set those aside. And then I like to stick my hand sort of in the glass and then clean all the way around, just like this. You want to get all of the oils and fingerprints and everything off your glass, and then allow the alcohol to fully dry before you do anything here. But this gives a nice surface for that sublimation. While that dries, let's take a look at our image. So like I said, I'm using this snowflake image. It's a sublimation image. I printed it using my new Sawgrass printer. I'll link to my overview of that above as well. But you want to make sure that you're using a sublimation image. If you're not familiar with sublimation, I've got plenty of tutorials on my blog and my YouTube about sublimation. But basically, there's a coating on this mug that when I press this snowflake image onto it using this high heat and this press, it will sublimate onto the cup, leaving absolutely no edges or anything like that. It will be one with the cup. It's actually really cool. All right, the alcohol on my tumbler has evaporated, so now we're gonna place the image around. So you of course want the image on the inside here, and then we're gonna tape it. The nice thing about using a glass can is you don't really have to worry about the edges quite as much, especially if you're not doing a full coverage image like this. So basically, I'm just going to tape it here really well, all the way up and down this seam here. If you're doing a full color sublimation image, you definitely want to do a little bit of tape at the top and bottom, but because my snowflakes stop from where the tumbler starts to taper at both ends, I'm not even going to worry about putting tape at the top and bottom of this one. Next, you're going to wrap your butcher paper around your tumbler here. This is just to protect your press from getting sublimation ink on it. The sublimation ink can leach through the paper and then sublimate into your press, which you don't want. So the butcher paper just protects the press from that ink. My press is already heated up and I've already sized it to fit my tumbler. I did that before it was hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and press this twice. I'm gonna stick it in there with the seam at the top and I'm gonna press it for 120 seconds at 360 degrees. Once that is done, I will turn the tumbler so that it sublimates the other side and we don't have some ugly white gap where it didn't sublimate. And I'll press it again for 120 seconds at 365 degrees and set it aside to cool. Our glass is done sublimating. It's still very hot, which is why I have my heat resistant gloves on, but I took off all the butcher paper and the transfer so you can see all of the cute snowflakes all the way around. While this cools, I'm going to go ahead and get everything done for the glitter solution so that when it's cool, we can go ahead and put that inside. Let's mix our solution. So this solution is basically 50% glycerin and 50% water. I tried a couple other solutions, did not like them. This was by far the best, but it's also not an exact science. I'm not gonna sit here and get out my measuring tools. I just don't have time for that. So I've put in maybe 2 ounces of water into this little cup and I'm going to add 2 ounces of glycerin to it. Just kind of double the amount of fluid I have in here. And then I'm gonna use my popsicle stick to really mix those two things together. You can kind of tell it gets kind of gloopy at first and kind of uneven, and then all of a sudden it sort of comes together. So we'll mix those two together. My tumbler is mostly cool to the touch. It's still a little bit warm, but I can touch it, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with it. And we're gonna start by using our little syringe to put a small amount of the glycerin water solution inside our tumbler. So to do this, you just kind of put your syringe in there and pull out a little bit of the solution. And then you go here and you just put it in. You have to kind of do this slowly because you just don't want to spill. It's too big of a mess. All right, I went and got a paper towel because you really want to clean this off here so that it's not wet when you go to put some of your glitter in. Basically, this little bit of solution keeps the glitter from sticking right inside that thin rim at the top of the glass. So I don't skip that step. Go ahead and do that first. Now it's time to put in our glitter. So I've got 2 options here, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on top of the glass here near the hole. And then I'm going to use the paintbrush to kind of sweep it into that hole. Oh, this is a little bit bigger. I think this hole is actually a little bit smaller than my last one, so this might take a while. But you're basically going to stick all of the glitter inside. Now, you may notice that you end up with some glitter on your craft table. That's just working with glitter, right? You're gonna get it all over the place. I don't think there's a neat way to do it. I think that the paintbrush here helps, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and we'll add the other color. So you can kind of start shaking it around and seeing the little snowflakes here. And obviously they'll float around better once we have more solution in there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to put more glitter in here. I'm going to use some of this Olaf glitter. I'm going to try and use a little bit more of the snowflake glitter, even though it's just a little bit of a pain to get it through this hole. The Olaf glitter should be easier. There's no real amount you should use. I do like a very glittery tumbler, so I will probably use maybe a full tablespoon of glitter between these two, probably more of the Olaf, just because the little snowflakes, while they are super cute, they are a little bit of a pain to get through this smaller hole here. But we'll see how patient I am. So let me get all of that glitter in there, adding a little bit of glycerin if I need to get everything to sort of wash down to the bottom. And we'll come back and we'll finish filling this up and sealing it. All right, that took me about 15 minutes to get all of my glitter in here, but I'm actually really happy with it. Once you can kind of clean the glitter off the top if there's any left over, and then you can put your finger here and sort of shake it around to see just about how much glitter you have in there. Now we need to add the rest of our solution. So I'm basically gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna fill up my little syringe here with the solution. And then I'm going to carefully put it inside my bottle here. As you get toward the top, you're going to get a much better sense of how that glitter looks in there. So you can just plug that hole with your finger and shake it around and see if you like it. This is the time when you want to add more glitter if you'd like. I think I actually am going to add a little bit more glitter. I love how this looks, but I think it could be just a little more glittery. As you get nearer to the top, you want to tip the hole to the top so that the solution goes away from the top here and you can get the most amount of solution inside your glass. The goal at the end is to get as much solution in here as possible so you don't have bubbles. I've not found it possible to get rid of every bubble, but you can get rid of almost all of them. Right at the end, I find the easiest thing to do is actually to use pure water. I think it has to do with the viscosity, just guessing on my high school science words. The viscosity of the water is lower than the glycerin, so it makes it easier just to get that last little bit of liquid inside our glass. Once you are pretty sure you've got this thing as full as you can get it, it's time to seal it off. So the thing you want to do first is clean the glass where you're going to use the resin with a little bit of alcohol on a wipe here. And just allow the resin to adhere better. If you're anything like me, resin has been sort of a scary craft. I have honestly not tried much of it. This is my first time using it, but I found it to be very easy. I thought it would be a lot more complicated. So all you have to do is uncap this here, and then you're going to fill in the hole. You don't want to put so much resin that it goes over the base here that when you set it down, it kind of rocks back and forth, but you do want to make sure that entire hole is covered. So we'll put a little bit in the hole and then around the hole like this. And then you can use your little popsicle stick from earlier here to sort of flatten everything out and make sure it's closed. And then hit it with the UV light for about a minute. Once it's cured, you want to test whether or not your resin is sealed properly. So to do this, I just tilt my glass ever so slightly to make sure that there are no leaks. And you'll start to see water pool if so. And you'll also be able to feel it. So far, I think we're good. My first one, I had to do it twice, just so you know. You may have to do it a second time. There's no water here. I'm not seeing anything on my finger, so I think we're good to go. And there you have it. We have crafted our snowflake snow globe tumbler. I'm not even sure which one I like more. I like them both so much. I'm gonna have to have 2 beverages. If you have any questions about making this particular craft, leave them in the comments. I would be happy to answer them. If you found this crafting tutorial helpful or inspiring, I would love it if you'd hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more weekly content, and I'll see you next week.